Why farmers are in the center of Paris fighting with the government, or why they're closing the national road in Greece, across the entire country, struggling the national transportations, what they're looking for, and what's their problem. In this video, we will not talk about the technical stuff, the AI, and nodes graphs. We're going to talk about that specific domain, agribusiness, in EU, and what is my perspective on that. And I'm very glad to get into a conversation, listening your thoughts about that. First of all, let's see how the market actually works for the producers. For those who know me in person, you know that I own a small estate and I run an agribusiness with my father here in Castoria in Greece. And I grown up in a farm with my grandparents and my parents. So I have somehow a great view of how this business operates and which are the struggles and the challenges. At the moment, my main profession is being a business consultant, but I have the experience, and at the same time I run this business as a separate entity, and I have experience. So I'm talking as a person who is in the domain. Okay, how the market actually works for the side of producer, the farmer. Farmers are required to make their production line based on the EU high quality standards, which means that they have to follow the EU standards to produce their products. This is also a guarantee for the high quality of our products. This is very good policy, and everybody agrees with that, because we think as consumers also we want to have high quality products to consume. Now, the production costs are higher than the sales price. This is weird, and this is true. We sell our products when we harvest our lands in lower price than the cost price, the actual cost price. And how this comes to? One of the reasons is the very high cost of our raw materials, and also the pressure we receive from the weather conditions and the climate change. This affects the quantities we produce annually, while the cost to produce these quantities are getting higher and higher year by year. EU policy to deal with this challenge was to distribute subsidies. Subsidies are given by square per meter in land, and also for every animal you own, as if you have animal capital. This means that the subsidies doesn't give you any push based on what you produce as a business, but based on what you own. This is different as a policy. And the subsidies comes as a piece of money to cover the difference between the sold price and the cost price. This is helpful, but this is not sustainable, because in this policy, the agribusiness gets into a higher risk. They are highly related with the subsidies. So they are not sustainable, self-sustainable actually. So they are in risk. Secondly, farmers sell their products when they harvest them, once per year or twice per year, it depends. But they sell them right that moment. Why? Because they don't have the great warehouses to keep them safe, so they can sell them later on in the time. And also, they want to go to the sale as soon as possible, so they can receive money to pay back their vendors. But the truth is that they get paid after 8 months on average. It happened to me. I got paid 1 year after, 12 months delay to get paid. There is no rule, there is no law, there is no policy decreasing this risk for the agribusinesses. So what happens is that we wait for those subsidies not to cover the price problem, but actually to give us the cash flow to get into the next production a year, causing us to running the business in credit, which means that we're in high risk because of the prices, but also having credibility problems and cash flow struggles with our vendors. For those who have basic financial understanding, means that we're already in red color of business health, isn't it? The third thing is, thirdly, producers' price tends to be 9 times lower than the consumer price. Not the price they sell, the price consumer pays for the same product. This is weird. In my area, we are in Castellia, we are very well known producing beans and apples. Apples are sold from the land at 32, 35 cents of euros. And when we go to the supermarket, we purchase them as consumers at the price of 2 euros 80 or 3 euros per kilo. You see that? The price difference is very big and it's not reasonable. At the same time, if we have a look on what do we produce, what do we export as a nation, and what do we import as a nation, it's totally clear that there is a tendency of Greekifying our products, the imported products, which means we import products out of EU to have them cheaper prices, and we name them as Greek products. It happens. And let me give you the example with beans. Beans are sold from producer, from farmer, at the price of 4 euros or 5 euros. It depends. Okay? Living in Athens, visited a couple of delicatessens and also in supermarket, looking the sold price. The sold price was 6 to 7 euros the bag of the half euro, which means 12 to 14 euros per kilo. And the big difference is that Castorian beans are white, very white, like the snow, like the sugar. It's shiny white, and we're proud for that. And this is because of the weather conditions in the area. However, the beans in those bags in supermarket and delicatessen were slightly yellow, which means they are not from this year. Definitely is 2-year old. And secondly, most probably they are not from this area. However, on the tag, they say that they're from Castellia. Not fair. At the end, the main reason agri-business people are doing all of these closing the national roads in Greece, they're for 40 days now outside with their tractors. 6,000 tractors closing the national roads. They had Christmas period right there in the cold. Why are they doing that? Only for the prices? Their most wanted policy to be changed is the MERCOSUR contract. What is the MERCOSUR contract? It's the contract between EU and Latin American countries to save the Germany and France automobile industry, which is totally fair. If one faculty in automobile turn off, the effect into the society will be extremely stronger and destroyable. We know that because in Greece, 15 years ago, when we faced the actual crisis and we saw faculties turning down, it was a disaster. So we understand that we have to get into this contract. The thing is that, basically, let me explain how it works. In MERCOSUR contract, EU companies can export uh, automobile products without duties, and they can import from Latin America fruits and vegetables without duties. And this means that these products, which they don't match the high quality standards of production, they have lower prices, and they are very, very more competitive with EU produced products. What's going to happen? These extra quantities of the products will push the prices a lower level, not for the consumer, but for the producer. And EU at the same time is cutting the subsidy duties, which means that everybody who was already on high risk is ready to bankrupt. Bankrupting an agribusiness means that they're gonna lose also their personal assets and equities, because they are already running in credits. Not they have only to turn off their business and switch in the domain. At the same time, what we face as a society is that people from rural areas are moving to the greater cities. This causes huge problem in real estate, in daily life quality, because traffic jam is horrible. I used to live in Athens, and year by year, the life was getting more and more horrible. Why? Because this city is not developed for 5 million people. And people from rural area are going there, which is normal because they're losing the reason to stay there and invest on something in this area. And the number one domain that everybody can join is the agribusiness. Now, the thing that make us being worried about the future of this domain is that we don't see any policy, any new strategy protecting agribusinesses from these MERCOSUR contract. We understand that we have to get into the contract, but we have to protect our products too. And also, there is no policy protecting us as consumers from all of these products who nobody knows how they're made, what raw materials have been used, and what type of fertilizers. There are many fertilizers that are not allowed in EU for specific reasons. They are counted as poisons. For those products, are they allowed? We don't know, and there are no guarantees, and no guarantees were requested when we signed up this contract. These are my thoughts. This is my view about this domain. I feel so disappointed, like my friends were outside on the road, and hope one day we achieve to do that. We achieve, and I hope one day achieve to solve all of this problem, because there is no society that can count itself as strong if it doesn't produce what it consumes. This is learned from ancient years. We know that very well, and we should respect it. Thanks for watching.